Shalom, 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 my brothers, my sisters of the nation of Israel, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. It's an honor, it's a privilege to be able to come before you again to give you another Sabbath sundown lesson, another edifying lesson, and hopefully to build you up in the spirit, to give you more knowledge, to help break down strongholds that plague our nation of people, but to build us up in the spirit, to make us strong again as a nation. And before we get started, we got to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shah being who the world knows as Christ, and through his strength and his sacrifice and example, we are able to be here tonight to give you another lesson. And I'm the brother Ananias.
Brother Ezekiel.
We got the brother Yakub online, and we are A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And it's an honor and privilege as always. Happy Sabbath to you all once again. And before we get started with the class, I just want to make an announcement that the Day of Atonement is coming up next week on the 20th. That's September the 20th at sundown. That begins the Day of Atonement. That's a day of affliction where we do a 24-hour fast, sundown to sundown. Day of Atonement is approaching next week. So make sure you do your research on that. Make sure you do what's necessary in order to keep the Day of Atonement. But today's class is dealing with the giants. Today's class is called Giants, the Big Deception, because a lot of people believe and have been told, well, we all have been conditioned to thinking that giants were taller than skyscrapers. You know, they were so tall they were able to pull trees out of the ground and use them as toothpicks. You know, those are the deceptions that we have been accustomed to believing in. Stories something as simple as Jack and the Beanstalk. You know, planting a seed in the ground and a beanstalk growing up, and boy climbing up to the top, and it's a land of giants up there. You know, so we've all been accustomed to the story, to the misconception of the truth that's actually in the Bible. You know, when you read in Genesis chapter 6, dealing with the giants, well, not giants, but when it's dealing with history about the nation of Israel, some things that the heathen have read and tried to make sense of, they have misconstrued the information and brought out a bunch of lies, you know, to basically beguile us, trick us, to have us thinking one type of way when the scriptures actually point another way. Which is why the Lord tells us in Sirach or Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10, never to trust thine enemy. Because a lot of us had a perception that we don't have any enemies. But we do have enemies. And those are the individuals who run this world. Because Job 9:24 states that the world or the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Therefore, they will not spew out or teach truth, but lies. The scriptures also tell you that your enemy, the wicked, come out of the womb speaking lies, paraphrasing. So coming into this truth and having a real understanding of what's going on in this world, you have to understand that our enemies do exist. And we do have enemies as a nation of people, but our enemies are designed to spew lies and alter the truth. So coming into this truth, you have to break down everything. You have to get a clear-cut understanding as to what's going on. And that's what we aim to do by bringing out these classes week in and week out. So make sure that you take notes, you pay attention, so that you can break down the strongholds that plague our people and be able to teach against it when that situation or that topic arises. But for right now, we're going to watch this quick video, and I'm going to give you a quick snippet as to how our enemy spews his lies across his media to confuse the world. So bear with me. Let me pull it up. All right. All right, my bad.
Of God came into the daughters of men. They created. book of Genesis, it says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men. They created a hybrid offspring who are called the Nephilim, or the fallen ones. They're referred to as the giants or the mighty ones, and some believe they were between 8 and 15 feet tall.
This is handed down not only in the Bible, this is also handed down in Sumerian languages, that some of the gods had sex with humans and the offsprings were giants. Mythology is full of giants, and we have to look at these old myths with modern languages. Change the word of angel into extraterrestrial. In the beginning of time, extraterrestrials had sex with humans, and the product of this sexual contact were giants.
Is it possible that as geneticists continue to decode the human genome, they will find that among our various hominid ancestors is a missing link to enormous beings from another world?
Ancient DNA is perhaps, for me, the most important area of study in all of my work, because there is the potential chance here that we could find direct evidence of the ancestors of modern humans. I suspect we will find lineages of a race of giants.
Could it be that just like some humans have traces of Neanderthal DNA, there could still be similar traces of alien human giants that scientists have yet to discover? Ancient astronaut theorists believe the answer is a profound yes, and suggest further insights could be revealed in early Judaic texts, which give a curious description of the world's first man, otherwise known as Adam. The Book of Genesis, Chapter 6, placed just after the story of creation and the generations of Adam and Eve. This section of the Hebrew Bible contains a curious passage.
There is a very interesting teaching in older Kabbalistic traditions that dates back to temple times. Legend states that Adam originally was, by our definition, a giant. That the original Adamic race was not of the same physical stature as we human beings are today. Some claim that the original Adamic race were giants. Is this a legend of symbolism, or is there something actual to it?
Was the biblical Adam a giant? Could it be that all of humanity is descended from a race that was of a much greater stature, and that there was a time on Earth when giants were prevalent and humans were the anomaly?
When we look at the modern evolutionary cycle for human beings, it's still put on the shoulders of Darwinistic views. So anything that steps outside of those viewpoints is usually greatly challenged. Mainstream science has had a very hard time wrapping their head around the idea that there could have been a lost race, part extraterrestrial, part human.
In mythology, the giants were a fact, they did exist. What we are missing are the bones of giants. From time to time, anthropologists found some big bones, but then other anthropologists contradicted it. But definitely giants did exist in the past, and they were the result of a mixture between extraterrestrials and humans.
Do incredible megalithic structures, curious religious traditions repeated in culture after culture, and reports of enormous human remains represent the remnants of a lost civilization of giants? And if so, could these enormous beings have actually had a hand in the creation of humankind? Perhaps one day soon, conclusive evidence of the link between humans and giants will finally come to light. And we will discover that within the mythological tales of our ancestors lies the true history of the human race.
You see that? These are the things that we have to go through. And these are the things that we have to break down and overcome. Lies is what we just watched in this video. These are the things that are spewed out on a constant basis, year in and year out, to confuse and dumbfound our folks, our nation of people, the Israelites. Why? Because they need us to stay asleep. They need us to not know or understand what's going on so that they can stay in rulership. These other nations know who we are. It's just that we have been put to sleep. The Lord put a sleep upon the nation of Israel for our constant rebellion. So here we are in the last days, waking up to who we truly are and having to go and fight against the wickedness of this world in order to reach and save our people. By waking them up and letting them know exactly who they are and that everything that they've learned throughout life thus far has been a lie. So we aim to break down these strongholds. And as you've seen in this video, all the different things or myths or lies that they were presenting in that video, they had no facts. They said it may be that these bones exist. No concrete evidence. What museum can you go in and see these bones if they exist? They don't have them anywhere. But you got museums with so-called dinosaur bones, but you don't have none with giant bones. Why is that? These are the things we have to seek out and destroy, you know. But let's go to the book of Baruch, chapter 3, verse 10. The book of Baruch, chapter 3, verse 10, and we're going to read that to 14. Once again, the class is called Giants, the Big Deception. Go ahead, brother.
The book of Baruch, chapter 3, verse 10. How happened it, Israel, that thou art in thy enemy's land, that thou art waxing old in a strange country, that thou art being defiled, Salakia, that thou art defiled with the dead.
So he's talking to Israel. He ain't talking to the whole world. This is a constant cut to the Christian church or to anyone that reads the Bible. They say that God is for everybody. He loves everybody. But why does he consistently keep talking to Israel? It's a good question to ask, because the Bible is only written to, by, and for the Israelites. So this is a history book, our history book. Keep going.
That thou art counted with them that go down into the grave.
Basically saying we dead. How are we in a strange land at the bottom of society and we basically counted as dead? Go ahead.
Thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom.
Meaning our God. Go ahead.
For if thou hast walked in the way of God, thou shouldest have dwelt in peace forever.
Obviously, we're not dwelling in peace, so something happened. But keep reading.
Is it learn where is wisdom, where is strength, where is understanding, that thou mayest know also where is length of days and life, where is the light of the eyes and peace.
So the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is saying, learn where is wisdom. Where is wisdom? These commandments, law, statutes, and commandments. This is our wisdom and our understanding in the sight of these other nations. It says, where is your strength? Our strength lies with the Most High. Not hitting the gym, not drinking smoothies, not running around the block. That ain't going to give us strength as a nation of people. Our strength lies in the Most High. It says, where is our understanding? In these scriptures. When we come back into this truth and truly understand who we are, that's where we get our understanding, our wisdom, and our strength. It said that thou mayest know where the length of days is and life, and the light, where is the light of the eyes and peace. We find length of days by keeping the commandments. The brothers who lived the longest on this earth kept the commandments. Proverbs 7:2 say, keep my commandments and live. We got to understand these things. It said, where is light of the eyes and peace? Light is understanding. We find understanding through the light, being able to see light at the end of the tunnel. We've been living in a wicked society where it's nothing but darkness everywhere. But now coming back to who we are, we find understanding. And that's what we aim to do with these classes, break down the stronghold, shed light on the darkness that plagues our nation of people. But from there, let's go to the book of Second Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3. So the aim is to stop listening and believing in lies, instead learn what wisdom and truth is. Because the myth of the giants, that's a lie that has our people doubting the Bible, the word of the Most High, because they don't have any understanding, because we listening to the enemy. We trust in what the enemy say, but the Lord say don't trust your enemy. Let's get the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3.
The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Verse 4. For the weapons of our welfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds.
Can you read?
Verse 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ.
You see that? So it says, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. We ain't supposed to be going to war with no flesh. But it says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty, which is the sword that we use, that we aim to sharpen day in and day out, which is the word of God, according to Hebrews 4 and 12. The sword, double-edged sword, through Yahweh to pulling down of stronghold. When you read these scriptures and start applying these commandments, you start cutting down and slicing all these strongholds that hold our people hostage on a daily basis. Verse 5, it says, casting down imaginations. The understanding that the heathens have about who we are and the word of the Most High is an imagination. They have all confused the hell out of us, for lack of a better word. You know, we all think that Adam and Eve were two white, so-called white people walking around butt naked in the garden, eating apples, talking to snakes. That's not what the scriptures say. There is no word apple in the whole book of Genesis. Just like they, at the beginning of that video, it said it believed that angels, the sons of God, had sex with the women on the earth and produced giants. That's a myth. That's foolishness. That's an imagination. Those are the things that they use to make their movies with. You know, wicked imaginations. But we got to bring the truth of the word out to break those strongholds that plague our people. But it said, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God. Because what they bring out is just pure lies, no knowledge, no understanding, to have our people mainly second guessing the word of the Most High, while they exalting themselves to be on a level that they know they are not supposed to be on. But due to their media, meaning they movies, they TV shows, cartoons, the magazines that they own, even some, a lot of their music, they push a message to exalt themselves. But it's all lies. And I'm going to keep reading. It says, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahushua. Breaking down all their lies and bringing our brothers and sisters back to the truth, to obedience, to showing them the importance of keeping these commandments, the importance of keeping the feast days, you know, the importance of coming together as a nation of people, or knowing who you are. That's what we aim to do by teaching these classes. So let's go to the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 7. The book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 7. Once again, we're talking about the giants, the big deception.
The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 7. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets.
You see that? He says, surely the Lord will do nothing but revealeth his secret unto the servants, the prophets. We as a nation of people are the servants of the Most High. We are the nation of Israel, and we are the prophets. That's why when you read Joshua, when you read Judges, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Zechariah, those are brothers of the nation of Israel. No other nation will you find in the Bible where you had a prophet from another nation. I challenge you to discredit that, to find otherwise. And when you do, bring it to me. And I'll come back on live and apologize about it or recant my statement. But when you read the scriptures, you find that all the prophets came from the nation of Israel. You find that the Most High God is the God of Israel. He only chose one nation of people. So he revealeth his secrets unto his servants. That's how we able to get the understanding, by keeping the commandments. So from there, let's go to Revelation 10 and 7. Then somebody give me Leviticus 20, 25 and 55. Go to Revelation 10 and 7. And we're going to show you that the servants, he talked to the servants in Revelation. Excuse me. Go ahead.
The book of Revelation, chapter 10 and verse 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God shall be finished, as he has declared to his servants, the prophets.
You see that? His secrets once again will be revealed, and it declared to his servants, the prophets. That's in the old and the new. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, it shall be declared. So you got a witness in the Old Testament and the New Testament saying the same thing. So you can't have the old without the new and the new without the old. They go hand in hand. So from there, let's go to Leviticus 25 and 55. Bear with me. We're going to get into it about these giants. Just got to build up the stage, so to speak. Leviticus 25 and 55. Just to show you and prove to you who the servants are. Right quick. Make sure you're taking notes. Leviticus 25, 55.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verse 25.
55.
55. Sorry. Salaki. For unto me, the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord, I am the Lord your God.
You see that? What we doing is going back and forth, old to the new, giving precepts to link up everything so that our brothers and sisters can have a clear-cut understanding. Read that one more time, King.
For unto me, the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God.
You see that? That's clear. That's plain. Said the children of Israel are the servants. That's how we know who the servants are, who the Most High reveals his secrets to. The Bible defines itself and give you the clues and the answers to everything that you seek. You just got to be willing to put in that work to find the answers. So from there, let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 1. Excuse me. The book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 1.
Brother, what was that last scripture we just read?
Leviticus 25 and 55.
All right. The book of Genesis, chapter 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them, verse 2, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Read the 7.
Verse 3. And all the Lord and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the Son of God came in unto daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Verse 5. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Verse 6. And it repented the Lord that he made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Verse 7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them.
All right. Let's get the book of Exodus chapter 4, verse 21. And we're going to read this again, and we're going to break it down just to give you the hidden secrets that are in that lie in these couple of verses. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 through 7. We're going to break it down and show you exactly where Esau, the so-called white man, went off speaking foolish lies. All right. So let's get the book of Exodus chapter 4, verse 21, because it says in verse 2, Genesis chapter 6, verse 2, it says, the sons of God. Who are the sons of God? Are they angels? Let's find out. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4, verse 21.
The book of Exodus chapter 4, verse 21.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said unto Moses, when thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thy hand. But I will harden his heart, that he will not let the people go.
So this is the Lord talking to Moses about going to Pharaoh to tell him something, to do something. Go ahead.
And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus said the Lord, Israel is my son, even my
son. Go ahead.
Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn.
You see that? The Most High said, hey, go to Pharaoh and tell him, let my son go. Israel is my son, my firstborn. See, Israel, the nation of Israel, we are a body of people. We are his son. He chose us. He rose us up. He led us by the hand. Matter of fact, let's go to Hosea chapter 11, verse 1, just to further prove what I'm talking about. Who are the sons of God? That's what we're trying to find out right now. Let's go to the book of Hosea chapter 11, verse 1.
All right. Book of Hosea chapter 11 and verse 1. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt.
You see that? He said, when Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. You see that? When we were young beginning, as soon as we came out of Egypt as being a nation, when we were coming out into the wilderness, we were a son, the beginning of the nation. We were first beginning to learn how to walk as a nation. Getting the rules and regulations is how to live life, the same way a child does today. They got to be nursed till they're able to stand. And then once they stand, you start teaching them, hey, you can't touch that. Hey, hold on to this. And this is how you stand up until you get your balance, till you're able to walk on your own. So he said, when Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. Let's get another reference. Let's go to 1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. So we got to break down these strongholds. And like I said earlier, well, what the scriptures say, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall the matter be declared. The book of 1 John chapter 3, verse 1 through 3.
This is the book of 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore, the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not.
You see that? That's plain. Plain. Keep reading.
Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doeth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when ye, excuse me, Salakia, when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man,
go ahead.
And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure.
See that? I'm gonna start and say verse 1, 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. What manner of love the Father had bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Not everybody, but we, the nation of Israel. We are the sons of God. That's plain. That's in the Old and the New Testament. It said, therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. That's why they saying it was angels that slept with the daughters of men, rather than saying it was the nation of Israel, the chosen nation, chosen lineage.
Hey, let me bring out a precept on that right fast.
All right.
It's Joel chapter 2 and verse 27. And it says, and you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God and none else. And my people shall never be ashamed.
You see that? Should never be ashamed.
He
but he
said,
in the midst of Israel. Go ahead, King.
No, I just was saying, like you said, he said he in the midst of Israel and none else. None of these other nations he's dealing with. He's only in the midst of Israel. Therefore, like the scriptures say, what has that to do with my statute? I'm paraphrasing. But basically, Lord, tell them what y'all doing with my Bible. This has nothing to do with you. This is for the children of Israel.
That's right. And we can even break it down, you know what I'm saying, further than that to show you the lineage. Let's go to the book of Luke, chapter 3, verse 23. The book of Luke, chapter 3, verse 23.
The book of Luke, chapter 3 and verse 23. And Jesus himself began about 30 years of age, being the son of Joseph, which was the son of Eli.
So right now it's going into the lineage. It's going all the way back to Adam. So jump from 23 to 33.
Verse 33, which was the son of Aminadab, which was the son of Aram, which was the son of Ezra, which was the son of Phares, which was the son of Judah.
Keep going.
Verse 34, which was the son of Jacob, which was the son of Isaac, which was the son of Abraham, which was the son of Sarah, which was the son of Nachor.
Keep going. You're going to read it 38.
Verse 35, which was the son of Sarah, which was the son of Raga, which was the son of Phalek, which was the son of Eber, which was the son of Salah, which was the son of Kaanan, which was the son of Arphax Ad, which was the son of Sem, which was the son of Noe, which was the son of Lamech, which was the son of Methuselah, which was the son of Enoch, which was the son of Jared, which was the son of Ma'elil, which was the son of Canaan. Okay. Canaan, which was the son of Enoch, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God.
You see that? It broke it all the way down from the lineage from where Yahweh came from, all the way back to Adam, letting you know he was a son of God. You know, now Noah had 3 sons, but he went through Shem. He didn't go through Ham. He didn't go through the other brother. I can't say exactly. Went blank right there. But it went all the way back through Seth, through Adam, which was a son of God. Letting you know through the lineage that we are the sons of God. It's simple. But Esau don't do any type of research. As much studying and thinking that they do, they don't come up with the understanding. Why? Because they're not the servants of the Most High. And they come up with fictitious stories like angels came down and slept with the women and made giant children. That's crazy. It don't even make sense. But let's go back to Genesis chapter 6, verse 2. And it said, the sons of God saw the daughters of men. Who are the daughters of men? Let's go to the book of 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 54. The book of 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 54. This is a classic precept we bring out all the time just to show our brothers and sisters when we teaching that the world was made for our sake, that the Most High is only dealing with the nation of Israel. But you get a lot of phrases and questions. Don't we all come from Adam? Yeah, that's true. But let's break it down. The book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 54.
The book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord over all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
You see that? As for the other people, these are the sons of men, or this is where the daughters of men come from, the other nations. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, which is spit, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So it's just like he don't care about them the same way we don't care about spilling a drop from our drink, from our cup, from a bucket of water that we carry. We don't care about that as long as we got the majority. Keep reading.
Verse 55, verse 57, excuse me. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sake, why do we now possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure?
So this is the prophet Ezra asking the Lord questions. Like, if the world was made for our sakes, how in the hell is these heathen ruling over us? If we your firstborn, your fervent lover, who you made the world for, how in the hell are they ruling over us? We all know the answer to that. But if you knew coming into this truth, the reason that these other nations are ruling over us right now is because of our disobedience, for not following the Lord, walking in his ways, basically not keeping the commandments. And know that is due to the curses that are put upon us and listed in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Curses that were promised to the Israelites that were promised to happen if we broke the commandments. So here we are on the bottom of society, being the greatest people that ever walked the planet, but yet and still not knowing what's going on. But when you read the scriptures and dive deep into it, you find out that this world, this earth that we walk around on, was made for our sakes. And you also will find that these other nations were made to serve us. But the servants are ruling over us. But we're going to get back to what we're talking about. Because when we believe in these, we believe in the enemy, we trust in them. And because of that fact, because of the lust of our flesh, here we are on the bottom of society. We believe in a lie. We believe that it was giants walking around the earth that were 50 feet tall. We believe in it. Yeah, so we believe damn near anything that they say. So here we are on the bottom of society. It's that simple. But for now, let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. And I just want to make another quick point. When you read Genesis, you realize that Adam is a representation of the nation of Israel. Because Adam, he was given rulership just like we were given rulership. He was given commandments just like we were given commandments. He broke the commandments and he was kicked out of his land, the land of Eden, just like we were kicked out of our land for being disobedient. You know, being chosen to lead the world as a son of God, he broke the commandments just as we did. Everybody got kicked out of their land. And just like he was punished to die, that's what's happening to us. We died as a nation, to be honest, where we struggling to wake up here in these last days. We being reborn to understand what's going on, you know? So Adam, when you look at his story, his situation is the same thing that happened to the nation of Israel. Understand that? So let's go to the book of 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women.
Hold on, pause there right quick. When you go back, when we read in Genesis, it said that the sons of God, bear with me. It said that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, meaning our brothers, our sisters saw the other nations, seen they women and thought that they were beautiful, that they looked good. That's what fair means, pleasant to the eye. We thought that they looked good. And it said that we took them wives of all which they chose. So what we getting right here is a clear-cut example as to what happened when our brother King Solomon went off into these other nations. He did the exact same thing as being spoken about in Genesis 6 and 2. Continue to read that in 1 Kings.
1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, and Ammonites, and Edomites. And how you pronounce it?
Zidonians.
And Zidonians and Hittites.
Now, for those who be saying, well, the Lord said don't hate an Edomite, that doesn't mean that he said date them or have marriages with them. You see that? Because he's saying that King Solomon was dipping and dabbling, mixing and mingling with the Moabites, which are the Chinese, the Ammonites, which are the Japanese, the Edomites, the so-called whites, the Zidonians, and the Hittites, which are so-called Africans. Keep reading, verse 2.
Verse 2. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their God. Solomon clave unto these in love.
You see that? The Lord made it plain right there. This is the reason why you're not supposed to be messing with these other nations, because they're going to turn you away from serving the Most High. Instead of keeping Purim, you want to keep Christmas. Instead of the Passover, you're going to keep Easter. Foolishness. That's why we got to break down these strongholds and bring out the precepts to break down the strongholds that plague our nation. Keep reading on that. Read the 6.
Verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wife turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. Verse 5. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of Zidonians. My bad. The goddess of Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Verse 6. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord as David his father.
So it was mixing and mingling with these other nations, and they end up turning his heart, meaning turning his mind away from the Lord, where he was out worshiping and building temples to these other gods. That was off. So it said that Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord. That's exactly what happened when you go back to Genesis chapter 6, verse 2. They chose daughters of the other nations, made them wives. Verse 3, it said, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, but that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Verse 4 said, there were giants in the land. But before we get there, let's go to Ezra chapter 9, verse 1 and 2.
Hey, can I bring out scripture right fast?
Yes, sir.
It's Deuteronomy 7 and 3. Going back to what we just read, said, neither shalt thou make marriages with them, Thou daughter shalt thou not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So they just go back to furthermore prove the scripture what you just read. As far as us not, we shouldn't be dealing with them like that.
That's right. So let's go to the book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1 and 2. The book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1 and 2.
The book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. Now, when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abomination, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, and the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves, and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and the rulers have been chief in the trespass, in this trespass. And when I heard
that's it, King. So, Brother Ezekiel, let me get Sirach chapter 15, verse 13. But I'm gonna go back over this in Ezra. It says, now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the land, meaning we were mixing and mingling with the other nations. He said, doing according to their abominations. Doing according to their abominations. Let me get that in Sirach 15 and 13, King.
All right. The book of Sirach, or Ecclesiastes, chapter 15 and verse 13.
Uh-huh.
The Lord have all abominations, and they that fear God love it not.
Read it one more time.
The Lord hateth all abomination, and they that fear God love it not.
You see that? It said the Lord hate all abomination. So here we are. When you go back to Ezra 9 and 1, it says they have not doing according to their abominations. So we over there doing all manner of wickedness, dealing with these other nations. You know, they eating the swine, we eating the swine. They celebrating they guys, we celebrating it. You know, that's exactly what was going on. That's why the Lord said he didn't want us dealing with the other nations, even to this day. But the Lord hates abomination. And if we fear the Lord, if we love the Lord, we hate it as well. You know, but I'm going to keep reading. It said, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, Moabites, Egyptians, and Amorites, for they have taken. Is that not what they said in Genesis 6 and 2? It said that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they taking. Hey, it's just a past and a present form. They have took them wives of which they choose. Verse 2 in Ezra chapter 9, verse 2 said, for they have taken of the daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass, meaning our leaders were the main ones going off, mixing with the other nations. The same way it is today. The exact same thing you see going on today. Our
giant, so-called high place. Like
exactly. You look at your athletes, you look at your actors, your comedians, your singers, mixing with the other nations. These are the people that they project to us through the TV, through the media. And by us seeing it all the time, and we seeing them on the TV or listening to their music all the time, what do you think that's going to happen? The kids watching, growing up, going to say, hey, I want to be like that person.
Michael Jordan.
They even had a song back in the day. I want to be like Mike. What Mike doing today? Running around with an Edomite.
Venus.
I give you another one that's more common. I just seen it in a magazine and a little video. LeBron James' son, he all over the news. His son going to the prom, but he got an Edomite on his arm. What is that telling everybody else that's watching him coming up to do? I need that on my arm. Like that's a trophy piece. The Lord called them dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the scriptures prove it, and reality proves it. All you got to do is let them get sweaty around you. You'll smell it. Smell just like damn Lassie running around. Rover. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But the Lord say he hate these abominations. And if you love the Lord, you're going to hate it too. So mixing and mingling with the other nations, that's a no-no. That's breaking the commandments. You'll be in sin. It ain't no excuse. It ain't no justifying. You know, as wise as King Solomon was, hey, the word of the Lord going to stand. It don't matter how smart, how wise you are. And you mix with the other nations, you're going to go off. And on top of that, just like you said in Ezra 9:2, you what it said, the holy seed have mingled. You watering down your seed, the seed of Israel, dealing with these other nations. You polluting our seed. Understand that. So from there, let's go to matter of fact, let's define giant, because that's what we're gonna go back into. The book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 4. It says there were giants in the earth in those days. What was it talking about? Was it talking about Jack and the Beanstalk? Was it talking about the Jolly Green Giant? What is it talking about? Let's get the definition of what a giant is. Y'all brothers see that?
Mm.
All right. This is Webster's Dictionary, Webster Merriam Dictionary. Wow. This definition of giant. It says a legendary human-like being of great stature and strength. You see that? A legendary human-like being of great stature and strength. Hell, that could be Mr. T. That could be Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. Definition 2, it say a living being of great size. That can be Shaquille O'Neal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a person of extraordinary powers. That's Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
Something unusually large or powerful. That could be the brother Samson. But it's not saying somebody that was 50 feet tall, that could basically the size of King Kong, grabbing airplanes out at the air. It did not give that definition. But the Bible the Bible explains itself as you continue to read. But for some odd reason, Esau, so-called white man, just overlooks what the Bible says. Let's go back to the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 4. It says there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. So that's before the flood and after the flood. It said when the sons of God, who we already know are the Israelites, came into the daughters of men. You see that? So it was us mingling with the other nations, and they bear children to them. The same became mighty men. Mighty men, which were of old men of renown. Well, hell, if we find out what a giant is, we got to find out what renown is. Let's look into it right quick. Yes.
I want to bring out a precept right quick.
All right.
This is 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 4.
Uh-huh.
Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do. So, we deal into fables, giants in the air, and like you said, tall as King Kong, swinging at the airplanes and all that. So those are fables, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's not giving you a godly edifying. It's not actually breaking down the scriptures and edifying who are the true giants or who are the true sons of God. You know? So that's why the scripture said, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions, because us thinking about giants, you know, that got us thinking, well, okay, are they real? You know, are they actually 52 feet tall? You know? And it says, then get godly edifying. So it's not godly, I mean, edifying as we try to, you know, saying go after these fables, you know.
That's right. So let me go back to the book of Baruch, chapter 3, verse 26. Let's go back to Baruch, chapter 3, verse 26. And then somebody give me 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 10.
The book of Baruch, chapter 3, and verse 26.
Uh-huh.
There were the giant famous from the beginning, that were of so great stature and so expert in war.
You see that? There were giants famous from the beginning that were of so great stature and expert in war. So you had great individuals like what's his name? Everybody know his name. I can't think of him. What's the guy name that they do the Christmas after? Start with an N.
Do the Christmas?
Yeah, that they model Christmas after. I can't think.
Nimrod.
Nimrod was a great hunter, a man of renown. You know, he was a leader of the people during the Babylon stage, during the time of Babel. You know, so you got men of great stature from the beginning, giants, famous from the beginning that were of great stature and so expert in war. You had plenty of brothers that were excellent in war. Key read. Read the 28.
Okay, what we at?
Baruch chapter 3, verse 27. Or
Okay.
28. No, 27, excuse me.
Okay, verse 27. Those did not the Lord choose, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them. Verse 28. But they were destroyed because they had no wisdom and perished throughout their own foolishness.
You see that? It said the Lord did not choose them, these giants of famous statue from the beginning. He didn't choose them. He said he didn't give them the wisdom and knowledge and understanding. He said, let me go back, but were destroyed because they had no wisdom and perished through their own foolishness. They didn't have the commandments. Or if they knew about them, they refused to keep them. That's why the Lord came to Noah and saved his family, a family of 8, because everybody else was going off in wickedness, you know, foolishness. Jump down, go back up, matter of fact, to verse 20.
Verse 20.
23.
Verse 20. Young men have seen light and dwell upon the earth, but the way of knowledge have they not known. Verse 21. Not understood the path thereof, nor laid hold of it. Their children were far off from that way. Verse 22. It have not been heard of in Canaan, neither had it been seen in Theman. Verse 23. The Agarites that seek wisdom upon earth, the merchants of Marian of Theman, the authors of fable, and searchers out of understanding, none of these have known the way of wisdom or remember her path.
You see that? So Noah understood, verse 20, I started 20. It said, young men have seen light and dwelt upon the earth. They see the sun, but the way of light, the way of knowledge have they not known. They don't know anything about these commandments. Neither are they willing to commit to them, these other nations. It says, Noah understood the path thereof, nor laid hold of it. Their children were far off from that way. These other nations are far off from keeping these commandments. And their job is to keep you as a nation of people away from the commandments. That's why the Lord said, don't mess with them. So verse 22, it says, it have not been heard or of in Canaan, neither have it been seen in Timon. The Agarenes that seek wisdom upon earth, the merchants of Meron and of Timon, the author of fables. These are the same individuals telling us today that giants were 50 feet tall. Telling us that Zeus came down and had sex with a woman and created Hercules. These are the same individuals constantly repeating the same fables and stories. The story of Nimrod, as I was bringing out earlier. If you don't know that story, look it up, look into it. But it says they are the authors of fables and searchers out of understanding. None of these have known the way of wisdom or remember her paths. So these giants from the beginning, they had fame, they had stature, but they didn't have no wisdom or knowledge of righteous behavior. That's why the Lord said, to hell with this, I'm flooding, I'm getting rid of this earth. That's why he had to call Noah on the scene to do what he needed to do. But I'm going to go back to Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. It said, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. What does renown mean? We got it on the screen. It's been on there for a minute. Can one of y'all brothers read that?
Renown, a state of being widely acclaimed and highly honored.
Fame. You see that? Fame. That is what renown is. Just like we were explaining earlier, they have brothers and sisters of our nation on the TV, and they making them to be renowned. Michael Jordans, your Kobe Bryants, your Shaquille O'Neal's, your Will Smiths, your Kevin Hart's. Men of renown. 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, you'll still be talking about them. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Men of renown. So by mixing with these other nations, the individuals that came from them became men that were famous. That's what it's talking about. So go back to Genesis chapter 6, verse 5, and it says, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth. Matter of fact, before we go there, let's go to Numbers chapter 16, verse 1. Book of Numbers chapter 16, verse 1. So what we reading clearly explains and breaks down the point that there were no Jack and the Beanstalks. You know, it wasn't no gentle giants. You know, we're not talking about that foolishness. The book of Numbers chapter 16, verse 1.
Numbers chapter 16, verse 1. Now Korah, the son of Hissar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and and Dathan, and Abiram, the son of Elam, and On, the son of Peleth, son of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown.
You see that? These were brothers who were basically getting ready to confront Moses, run up on him and tell him, hey, what you doing? Who put you in charge? We all holy as a nation. If you want to read more on that, read the whole story, but I'm just trying to sum it up for what we're talking about. These brothers that were following behind Korah, they listened to this brother give wicked counsel and convinced them that they should go and run up on Moses to try to get some type of power. And he had over 250,000. Is that what it said? Excuse me, I said 250,000, 250. 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation. It's letting you know, and it's defining what renown means in the scriptures. Famous in the congregation, men of renown. Read verse 3.
Verse 3. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregations are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord.
You see that?
And
so they basically coming at this brother trying to get a position of power. You see that constantly going on in Israel today. You know, that's a covetous spirit. Who knows? I want some of that power. I want people to come to me like that. We got to get out that spirit, you know. In these last days, we that's not where we need to be. We need to be striving harder and harder to go harder and wake our brothers and sisters up so we can get the hell out of here. I don't want nothing here that's in this kingdom. It's all wicked. All I need is the chief things in life. That's what we all need. And the love and support of my brothers and sisters. And to be able to teach and serve the Lord. I don't give a damn about getting $1 million with the damn enemy face on it. That's crazy as hell to me. Why am I killing my brothers and sisters or killing myself trying to get it when it got my enemy face on it? And even when I get what I got, even when I get that, I can't even spend it how I want to spend it. If I get $1 million to go put $1 million in the bank, I can't even go spend $1 million the same day. I got to go through their process to get my money out the bank, sign all type of paperwork just to spend it. Can't even do what I want to do with it. Yet and still, we struggle to get this money, kill ourselves, break ourselves down, hoping for a day to retire. But by the time we retire, we can't even move no more. We've been working so hard. Body broke down, still ain't able to do what we want them to do. That's why we got to go harder in the paint to get the hell out of here. Realizing that what's going on right now, this is not our resting place. This is not what we should be seeking.
And they trying to push retirement age back.
Exactly. Want you to work even longer.
And look at another brother of renown, Ryan Coogler. You know, the brother went to the bank and simply he wrote down a note, asked the girl for what I think $15,000, and told her, you know, can you do it discreetly? And they called the cops on him. And it was a sister thought and said he tried to rob the bank. This man ain't had no gun or nothing like that. But hey, like the scripture says, you know, ye are gods, but you should die like men. You know?
Right. So let's go to let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 30. Since we talking about giants, and they want to think that men with 50 feet tall, let's go read about some tall men that were in the scriptures. The book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 30.
Book of Numbers, chapter 13 and verse 30. And Caleb still the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. Verse 31. But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against people, for they are stronger than we. Verse 32. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, The land throughout which have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. Verse 33. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sights grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight.
Now, did you think it was actually men that tall to make us look like grasshoppers? Do you know how small a grasshopper is? Where we looking like we can't even reach to their ankles? We ain't tall enough to be at their ankles. It was men that tall. Nah, that's an analogy. That's an exaggeration, because when you read up, it was these brothers were actually trying to scare the people away from going there. But you got the brother Caleb was standing still, and he was bold. I'm gonna read that again. Let me see. Verse 30. It said, and Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. So he see the people. He said, oh, that ain't nothing. The same way David was looking at Goliath. That ain't nothing. We the children of Israel. We the sons of God. We can take them. Yeah, they might have been tall. They might have been like Shaq or Yao Ming size. Maybe even 8 feet. But what is that? We got the living God on our side. And they knew that. So it's 31, it said, but the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, but they are stronger than we. He didn't say tall, he said stronger. And they brought up an evil report of the land, which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land, though we have gone to search it, is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And we saw giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we're in their sight. So for now, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 19. So they consistently talk about these giants, where Esau and Timon and these other nations create myths and fables, lies, basically, because the wicked come out of the womb speaking lies to deceive our people. So when we read the Bible and they say it was giants in there, we're going to look at it and say that's a fairy tale book, rather than looking at it as a book of strength and power, or looking at it as a book of our history. We look at it in another manner. But let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 2, verse 19.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 2, and verse 19. And when thou camest, when thou comest nigh over against the children of Ammon, distress them not, nor meddle with them, for I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for a possession.
Read the 21.
20, verse 20. That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwelt therein in old time, and the Ammonites called them Zamzummins, a people great and many and tall as the Anakims. But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead.
You see that? It said, but the Lord destroyed them before them. So the Lord, like it say in Exodus, that he's a man of war. So he told us when we were coming out of Egypt or heading to the promised land, don't deal or don't touch Ammon, because I gave them this land. He took out giants, or so-called giant, tall individuals, to give them this land. And then when you read verse 22, read that right quick. Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 22.
Deuteronomy chapter 2 and verse 22. As he did to the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, when he destroyed the harems from before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead even until this day.
You see that? The Lord took out the Anakims for the Ammonites, and then he took out these other let me see, the Horims for Esau, to give them that land. That's why he told us don't mess with them. He got a future plan for them in the future. And today they are what you call the Lord's whipping rod upon us. That belt that the Lord be pulling out on us, constantly putting on us. These nations. But nonetheless, it's talking about giants right there. Tall individuals. Still referring back to the nation of Anak. So from there, let's go to Deuteronomy 3 and 11.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, and verse 11. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rebath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man.
You see that? Pulling up this convertunions.com where it converts different measurements. So we're gonna look at the cubics. It said it was 9 cubits. So that said it, brother, was 13 feet, over 13 feet tall. That's a tall individual. But nonetheless, it's not 50 feet tall like they make it out to be. And let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 14, verse 10 right quick. Because whether you know it or not, we used to be a taller people. The earth used to be more plenteous. Everything about this earth used to produce itself more abundantly. Everything used to be bigger. The grapes were bigger. Everything. But when you read 2nd Ezra, you'll understand why it is the way it is now. Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 10.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14 and verse 10. For the world has lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old. Verse 11. For the world is divided into 12 parts.
No, read that verse 10 again.
Okay, verse 10. For the world has lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old.
So the earth has lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old, meaning they're getting older. Jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more shall evil increase upon them that dwelleth therein.
So it said, for look how much the world shall be weaker through age. Weaker. Everything is becoming weaker. You know, from the foods that we eat to the air that we breathe, where the animals live, everything is becoming weaker. So we used to be taller because we used to eat real food that was grown out of the ground without any pesticides, any GMOs in it. But Esau, not having the blessing to be able to grow anything, he got to put chemicals on everything. So through that process, everything is slowly but surely dying off, you know? So that's why you don't see people today being as tall as they were, because the world is getting older and getting weaker at the same time due to who's in charge. Everything that you can think of is defiled. The water that we use, the air that we breathe, the food we eat, the land that we walk on, everything is defiled due to Esau and his wicked inventions. But from there, let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 7, verse 14.
Can I bring it up?
Go ahead, King.
I'm sorry about that. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 9. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be.
Right.
And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. And I brought that up to say, you know, saying we had giants in today's time. You know, I used to watch wrestling like everybody else. You remember Andre the Giant? You know, he was like almost 8 feet tall. You know, they have others, you know, of course, wrestlers ain't but a gimmick. They bring other characters, you know, almost bigger than life, so they can bring in crowds, you know. So we have people at high stature, just not the stature as Esau claimed them to be, you know, in mythology, as far as, you know, 52 feet, you know what I'm saying, and you know, look like a skyscraper. But yeah, you have those, you know, giants like you said, Shaquille O'Neal, like you said, people taller than Shaquille O'Neal, because in some countries, especially in African countries, you have people that's way taller, 8 feet tall. As what's that, the Swahilis, if I'm pronouncing them right? I think those were the ancient Egyptians. Some of them was like 8 feet tall. So yeah, that's nothing new underneath the sun. But like you said, during time, we have degenerated to a degree. But I wanted to bring that out.
That's right. Good point, King. Let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 7, verse 14.
The book of Mark.
Hold on, before you get there, let me go back to Genesis chapter 6, verse 5, I believe. Yeah. It says Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. You want to read that, Brother Bernard?
Right. The book of Genesis, chapter 6, and verse number 5, and it reads, "And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died."
Genesis 6 and 5.
Right. The book of Genesis, chapter 6, and verse 5. "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually."
You see that? So at this particular point or time, when after these giants, so-called giants, were born and basically became mighty men of renown, the Lord seen all this wickedness going on in the earth. Why? Because we, as the chosen seed, were mixing and mingling with the other nations, and by doing so, we were going to go off and commit all types of abominations, and the Lord hates that. So let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 7, verse 14, to explain exactly what the heart is for those who don't know. The thoughts of the heart. It explains it right there. Plain as day. Because your heart don't have thoughts. A lot of people that you talk to that's not in this truth, they be beating on their chest saying, "The Lord know my heart. God know my heart." You don't know your heart, brother. You listening to what Esau said. But go ahead.
The book of Mark, chapter 7 and verse 14. It says, "And when he had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, Hearken unto me, every one of you, and understand. There is nothing from without a man that entering into him can defile him. But the things which come out of him, those are they that defile the man. Those are that defile the man. If any man have ears to hear, let him hear."
You're going to read the 23?
Yes, sir. And when he was and when he was entered into the house from the people, his disciples asked him concerning the parable. And he said unto them, Are ye so without understanding also? Do ye perceive? Do ye not perceive that whatsoever thing from without enter into the mind to the man, it cannot defile him, because it entereth not into his heart, but into the belly, and goeth out unto the drought, purging all meats.
So he's talking about what you eat don't defile a man. It's already like you eating a swine. That's already defiled before you put it in your body. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be pushed out. What they call that? The drought. Goes out in the drought, purging all meats. You know what that's talking about for those who understand. Coming out the backside. The number 2. That's not what defiles you, but it's what come out your mouth. Keep reading. Verse 20.
And he said, That which cometh out of the man, that defileth the man, from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts.
You see that? Evil thoughts come out of the heart of men. That's another precept to go with Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. That you once again know in the Old Testament and in the New, showing you and explaining to you what the heart is according to the scriptures. Read it one more time.
For from within, out of the heart of men proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, uh, uh, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, proud foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man.
You see that? All these different thoughts, adulteries, these are actions. When you commit these actions, you in sin. And he's saying these things come without a man because it starts in the mind, it starts in the heart. You can't do anything without thinking about it first. You want to go eat that pepperoni pizza, you thought about that. You seen it, you smelled it, you thought about it, you got up and went and ate it. You put yourself in sin. You seen that sister looking nice, you know you married, but you thought about it. I can't get caught. Nobody sees me. So you got up and you made that move. You went the hell off. You put yourself in sin. Now you got to suffer them consequences. You know? That's what the Lord is saying right there. Thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these different things start in the mind. So these are the things that the Lord was talking about back in Genesis chapter 6 and 5, saying the wickedness of a man's heart. Or that wickedness was, let me read it again. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. You see that? Continually. How much worse is it today with your social media, with your electronics in your hand? How much worse today is it? You think the Lord ain't willing and ready to destroy this place? But he said he wasn't going to flood it. That don't mean he ain't going to destroy it. But the Lord is ready and willing.
Right.
You got a precept, King?
Yeah, I got one. The book of Proverbs, chapter 23, and verse number 7. For as he thinketh in his heart, right? For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So just like the brother going into, hey, just like the Lord saying you think with your heart, right? Your heart, it literally pumps blood. But we understand that we think with our mind and our brain, right? So that's what the Lord is talking about, right? In certain right, 9 times out of 10, when the Lord is saying your heart, hey, he's talking about your mind, your brain, what you think, right? That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about in that context. But you got it, King.
All right. From there, let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 32, verse 9. The book of Exodus, chapter 32, verse 9. And once again, this class is called Giants, the Big Deception. Hopefully, if you've been watching this class and taking notes, you understand, and you understand clearly what the scriptures say versus what Esau putting out there. What you have been taught as a child, as a knee-high to an adulthood. You understand now truly what the Bible is speaking about. So let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 32, verse 9.
Book of Exodus, chapter 32, and verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
This is why the Lord was saying in Genesis chapter 6 and 6, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And he said he was going to destroy it. It's the same way he thought about the nation of Israel. Everything goes hand in hand. We need to realize about the scriptures. Keep reading on that.
Verse number 10. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation.
See that? The Lord was looking at us as a nation of people saying, get out the way, Moses. I'm going to start over with you. These people, ignorant, stiff-necked, rebellious as hell. They don't want to listen to me. They want to listen to the damn enemy. They believe in everything but what I tell them. The Lord was getting ready to do with us the same way he destroyed everybody else. He was getting ready to destroy us. But today, for some odd reason, when we tell our brothers and sisters that the Lord ain't nothing to play with, they think that he's all smiles and rainbows. He love everybody. He'd rather give them hugs and pats on the back. Where do you see that in the scriptures? We had just got saved, delivered in the wilderness. The Lord getting ready to wax, what do you say, wax hot. Put us to death. Same thing going on today. Read that verse 14, King.
The book of Exodus, chapter 32, and verse number 11. And Moses besought the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people.
You see how Moses was trying to stand up for us? Well, he did stand up for us to convince the Lord. Don't destroy them, Lord. They call by your name. And if you destroy them in the wilderness, that's what the story going to be. He saved them, but they were hard-headed as hell, so he destroyed them in the wilderness. So don't let that be the story, Lord. Have mercy on them. Let your wrath cool down, chill out, basically. What Martin say, woosah, Keep reading.
First Exodus 32 and verse 13. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou sawest by thy own hand. Let me start that over. Exodus 32 and verse 13. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou sworest by thine own self, and said unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of I will give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people.
You see that? He thought to do evil to his own people. So where do the Christian churches get that he all smiles and rainbows? That he love everybody? He was getting ready to destroy his own people. Moses had to basically come and be that mediator between the two. Lord, please don't do this. All that we done went through, don't let the story end this way. So he repented of what he thought to do to us. He changed his mind because Moses stood up on our behalf. But let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 35, verse 1. The book of Sirach, chapter 35, verse 1. How do we get in this condition that we in right now for breaking the commandments? How do we actually cool off the Lord's wrath? So you got to understand that he putting that belt on us right now. He chastising the hell out of us. We ain't in the land of the free. Don't believe that myth either. This ain't the home of the brave, home of the free. It ain't none of that. This is a correctional facility that we always speak about. This is not our resting place. Go ahead, bring it out.
The book of Sirach, chapter 35, verse 1. He that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough. He that taketh heed to the commandment offered a peace offering.
See that? That's how we when we keep the commandments, that's how we basically cool off the Lord's wrath. When we break them, we kindle that fire. But when we keep his commandments, we ain't got to worry about nothing. It's the other nations that got a problem on their hand. That's what we got to get our people back to understanding. Keep going. Read, is that what I want? No, that's it. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 111, verse 10. This is a classic precept as well.
Book of Psalms, chapter 111, and verse number 10. All right, Psalms 111 and verse number 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever.
So fear the Lord, or fearing the Lord, is the beginning of wisdom. And a good understanding have all they that do his commandments. not say, not hear, but do his commandments. You'll have a good understanding. So you'll be able to break down the prophecies, the parables, and the hidden gems that are hidden in the book, in the Bible, by keeping these commandments. That's what we aim to do by bringing out these classes week in and week out, to build our brothers and sisters up, encourage them to keep the commandments, to do the things that's necessary for our brothers and sisters to rebuild and restore and close up the breaches of the nation of Israel by keeping the commandments. So I hope and pray that you brothers and sisters were edified tonight. I hope that you learned something. And you learned something about these damn giants that Esau be putting in our mind. But I also want to show and share something else as well. Like I stated at the beginning of the class, you got the Day of Atonement coming up, which is next week. This is a day that you need to make sure that you're not working on. Because when you read in Leviticus, it tells you it's a day where there's no servile work. It's also a day of fasting, a day of affliction of your soul, where you don't eat nor drink from sundown to sundown, So Day of Atonement is on its way next week on Tuesday, starting Tuesday, I believe Tuesday night, the 20th. But make sure that you're aware of the Day of Atonement. That's the day where we afflict our soul, and in hopes and regards that the Lord will wipe our slate clean for all the sins and wickedness that we may have committed throughout the year thus far. So this is a day that should be taken seriously and shouldn't be taken for joke. We should be striving as hard as we can to take that day off to do what's required as an Israelite. That's required of us to do, to keep the Day of Atonement. And as you see right below it, we got the Feast of Tabernacles coming up as well. That'll be on Sunday, September the 25th. That's the 15th day of the 7th month, where we dwelling out in booths or tents for a whole week. That's not a white man thing. That's actually an Israelite custom that we should all be accustomed to doing. That's why it's important for us to come back to who we are and start practicing the righteous acts. Because in today's society, before this truth, everybody looked at camping as something that a white man did or that the other nations do, but mainly Esau. But that's actually our custom, to be out in the wilderness, dwelling in booths or in tents. But just wanted to bring that out for brothers and sisters so that they can understand what's going on. And matter of fact, let me run it across the bottom of the screen. If you want to find out more information about what we're talking about, you can go to our website, the awakeningofisrael.org, to find out more information. And any questions you got, you can email us as well. But make sure that you took good notes, that you share this content, and that you continue to strive to keep these commandments on a daily basis. Matter of fact, let me close out with one more scripture. Let's get 1 Corinthians 15 and 58.
Right. Book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse number 58. And it reads, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord."
So continue to be steadfast, unmovable. Don't change just because somebody screwed their face up or you put in a difficult situation. Remember to trust in the Lord always. Trust in the word of the Most High. Strive your best, endure to the end. That's the main goal that we striving for the kingdom. Remember that. So I'm Brother Ananias.
Brother Benaiah.
We got the Brother Yakub, and we are A.O.I, the Awakening of Israel. And it's been an honor, it's a privilege, as always, to be able to talk to our brothers and sisters, to give them another edifying lesson. And before we leave, we got to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And on that note, we say shalom to you.
Shalom.